Call to order the City Council Budget Workshop, Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 at 5 p.m. As always, I'd like to stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so right before we get started, I know that everybody knows that we had a fire in Keokuk today. And just so you know, I noticed, and Brian had brought it to my attention, that if you go on Facebook, the Keokuk Community Foundation is taking a collection for the families, and they are donating $10,000 to get it started. So that is a great thing for them to do, great for our community, and on the website and everything, there is a place that you can donate. Also, we did have a family people in our city of Keokuk that were involved. Bob Weese's daughter and her husband and their two kids were living there. They were just getting ready on February 1st to move into a building that Michael Clark owned. So they did lose everything. And if you want to talk to anybody, you can talk to Leah Carroll at the radio station. She has sizes and everything for those kids. And also Mr. Worrell, which is the son-in-law, is an employee at our wastewater treatment plant. So it has hit home. It has hit, our family here at City Hall. So anyway, just so you know. And then also, so you know, it's times like these when we thank God we do not have a volunteer fire department and a volunteer police department, because I do know that they were up all night. It was freezing cold. The police were there to help get people out, knock on doors, and for that, the city of Keokuk is eternally grateful. Okay, item number 3, review of the department budget request. We were going to start with animal control, but when we still can. Tom is sick, so we'll go ahead and do that. Do we have papers on animal control with our police department or anything? Yes, okay. We'll start with that and get it over with. Tom called, said he had up with a fever last night, and I told him, just like Zeph told him, stay home. We don't want a fever. So anyway, if you want to look and see, truthfully, I think, I don't know if anybody remembers, but I think there was a little bit that was raised. Just a few things. So go down it real quick, everybody. It's not a huge one. And most of it is raised for different things like higher cost in dog food, higher cost in electricity, that kind of stuff. Do you know, Celeste, what the total raise was for that department? 6,000. Okay, the total raise for animal control was $6,137, and it came with medical expenses, because it went up, when they get the dogs shots and spaded and that kind of stuff.
Do you have any more copies of the animal control one? 'Cause we ran out down here. So I don't have one, and neither does Dan.
I'll look on.
But we have extra police and extra mayor.
I can look on Celeste, and we'll get you one. We can
Okay.
copy one when we're done.
Thank you.
So it was $6,137, everybody.
And part of that is
And she said part of that is 5% salary. So, and if you want to take a quick look at that, there's people that aren't happy, or if there's something you don't like, let's say so now. I can't hear you, Rod. What was that? Yeah. It'll say last year expended and last year budgeted. Okay? Anybody have any?
So, last year, Tom talked about, like installing a software program at the animal control because they were doing everything, you know, paperwork and the slips. So did that happen?
Do we know? Do you know if we had a software installed?
I haven't seen it.
Like he wanted to get like the permits or maybe the tags or stuff on the software. Last year, that was the goal.
I spoke with him, but he didn't mention anything about a new software. So I could,
Right,
okay.
right.
Okay.
No, it was something that he had found that he was trying to get away from doing the paper process.
I can ask.
Okay, maybe we could ask him and then you could just email us an update.
And I did tell him if we had any questions, we'd ask him
Okay.
if we needed anything changed.
I do have a question on the animal licenses and fees. In this proposed budget, it's at 0. And historically, it's been $16,000-$17,000 every single year. We probably need to ask him why that is.
Which line is that?
001, 190, 4180.
41.
That's a revenue. So anything, he must have printed out revenues on there. Have you done revenue?
No, I just printed out,
Okay,
I printed out what
so
you sent me.
disregard anything.
So we will see that across the board with the
Yeah.
revenue ones. Okay.
So disregard anything that has to do with the board, because the boards are gonna be revenue, so anything with the six.
Got you. Thank you, Celeste.
Good job. Good job. Okay, anybody else? Okay. We will talk to Tom tomorrow. I will talk to Tom tomorrow, and if anybody has any questions, please let me know if you have a question between now and then. And unfortunately, that's one of our easiest ones, but he doesn't feel good, and that's the way it goes. Okay. Next on there is police. Everybody got one?
Okay, so this year when I prepared my budget, I tried to keep in mind, obviously, the increases that we had recently to the salary and things of that nature. As far as the line items actually go, only one of them, I'm asking for an increase, which is vehicle maintenance. And that's just due to the cost of the body shops, and just the increase of the labor and the parts there. Outside of that, I'm asking for some capital purchases this year. If anybody has any questions about the line items, I'd like to answer those before we move on to capital purchases, which we'll probably have some discussion.
Which line item is it that you're asking the only increase on?
6332.
Okay,
And it's a $1,000 increase. Or I'm sorry, repair equipment, 6350 is a $1,000 increase. From 11,000 to 12,000.
okay. I was gonna say, man, I can't add. Can't add in my head. Okay,
I show from 10,000 to 11,000.
you said $1,000 increase.
Yes, sorry, you're correct. 10,000 to 11,000.
Okay. Any questions, guys?
Still looking, sorry.
Huh?
Still looking.
Okay.
I might be looking at this wrong, but the 60/40 overtime line only has $200 at the bottom of page 3. There's another one down here.
Yeah, that's a number provided by City Hall. 60/40, it's the bottom of page 3. It's showing,
112, 60/40.
11264.
I believe that should be 20,000, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it hasn't changed.
Non-union is 30,000. Union
I mean,
Not used any.
it would definitely be over 200. I can imagine we're only budgeting $200 for overtime. I don't think that's
That's why I
accurate.
was confused, because you spent like how much in
Yeah,
overtime so
that's-
far this year that 200 isn't even a drop?
Yeah, it's the 112 only. So it's broke down into different departments. Mhm. Yeah.
I believe that's your task force or.
It's in with the communications items.
Yes, yes. So communications is, they don't get hardly any overtime whatsoever. So that's a communication line item.
What would communications be? Will you remind me?
So that's our data entry clerks and
Data.
our communications supervisor.
Data entry overtime is 200.
Yeah. And it's very, very rare that they would have any overtime.
So then higher up on line 111640 for overtime at 40,000, then that would be the number for the police officers?
That would be the union, the bargaining member police officers.
Union, okay.
And then the 60/40 would be the administration.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. what was it?
Yes, yes.
Should be 60/40 on page
Yes,
1.
110,
Yes,
60/40
yes.
is the administration.
Yep.
Are you worried about going over that with
Oh.
how much overtime that we've had lately? Do
No.
we need to budget more?
So that was a discussion we had last year at the budget session was, do we increase this? We know that it's coming.
Mhm.
And the decision was not to increase it because we hope that this isn't a long-term thing. We're certainly going to have some overtime this summer as well. We will likely, we'll be over overtime budget this year. There's no way around that. And we will likely be over budget overtime next year as well. But we're seeing a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel here with our staffing. Hopefully next fall, a lot of this overtime subsides. Once our new hire that is certified gets on the street, we'll have an extra body on one side of our shifts. So that will alleviate the overtime on that side. And the strategy that we've implemented with our administration and our captains and sergeants filling in on the Monday through Friday daytime shifts, working the street to cover any overtime slots there is going to assist as well.
How many officers have we started the process to add on to the force since we made those changes?
2, we have one that is non-certified. He's from Fort Madison. He has a seat reserved in the academy for May. We are hoping to get him hired in the first or second week of February, officially get him hired, so we can do some of his field training prior to the academy. That way, once he gets out of the academy in August, it'll be an abbreviated 3, 4, 5 week period, and then he'll be ready to be on the street. Our certified officer starts tomorrow, and he will have approximately, as long as everything goes smooth, a 4-week field training period to get him acclimated to our department, and then he'll be on his own.
Okay. Do you have any retires or anything in the future?
Our next retirement's about 6 years away.
Okay.
We do have an officer that took a captain's position with Fort Madison Police Department. He is leaving. His last shift will be the evening of January 30th. That's something that they were advertising. He told me he was going through the process. I don't want to get too far into the details of the reasons he's leaving, but a lot of it had to do with the landscape and his ability to get to where he wants to be in his career. And we have a certified officer from Illinois coming in next Saturday to test as well. So we have drawn in more applicants. We had one from Mount Pleasant. Outside of the certified officer, we had another from West Burlington. He was an uncertified person. So we're drawing in more applications. We have 2 guys from Illinois testing next Saturday. One is certified, one is not. So it's doing its job. It's just we still have to get them to be quality applicants. Would you guys like to move on to capital purchases?
I'm ready.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Move to capital. Okay.
I think Councilperson Cackley is still reviewing some line items. Okay, so a couple things to remember about our budget is we do have a little bit of monies coming in. Our SRO salaries paid 75% by the school district. We do get a grant to cover our body armor every year, up to about 5 bulletproof vests. And then we get some monies from Burn Jag. It's a federal grant towards our task force officer, although that's fairly minimal. And they also apply for and get a camp grant that covers a good portion of his overtime. His or her happens to be him at this point. So just keep that in mind. Capital purchases, I'm requesting 3. I do have them prioritized in order. The first thing I'm requesting is new mobile data terminals for the squad cars. This is something that we were hit with about a month to 6 weeks ago. Our IT told us that the operating, there are mobile data terminals now will no longer be supported through security updates, which means those systems are at risk, and with the private information that we review on those systems, and those being connected to our server, we kind of have to get them replaced or stop using them. We utilize these data terminals for nearly everything related to on-the-go patrol work. Our IT vendor informed us that next year, the current mobile data terminals will no longer be supported with security updates, given the protected private information that the computers are utilized for and the network that they have connectivity with. Replacing these is vital, as a security breach could result in severe liability to the city. The cost of 8 terminals with an extended warranty, taking the warranty from 3 years to 5 years, is $41,000.
Did you say 8 terminals?
8, yes.
Are these the laptops?
Yeah, you could call them a laptop. It's a removable tablet that hooks up to a keyboard in the car. Yeah.
Are they currently running Windows 10?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Are they a Windows 10 based? So
They
that's where
are.
this comes from that
Yes.
being phased out? Okay.
Yes.
How long did the software last on the current ones? So if we get a new version, how long do you expect that the new software will be usable?
That's going to depend on,
Well, okay, how long did the last software last?
We've had these up and running for approximately 4 years.
Okay.
I would expect them to last longer.
Okay.
I think we came in on the back end of Windows 10.
Is there an upgrade option to the existing units, or are they showing enough wear and tear where getting brand new is the appropriate avenue?
Our vendor said we have to replace them.
Okay.
Okay, so the second priority are tasers. Our current tasers are well past the recommended shelf life of 5 years. Should one of these tasers fail, it could expose the city to some liability due to providing equipment that the manufacturer recommends be replaced. The cost of 8 new tasers, to include training, is approximately $10,000. The reason we recommend 8 is because during the summertime, we have a lot of special events. We have additional officers in working these special events. We want to make sure everybody has access to a taser. And if one of them should go down for some reason, we have a couple spares in the cage that are available. The cost of that's $10,000. The concern being that if a taser, and I will say that we have not had a taser failure, so we haven't had any failures. But should we have a failure and it escalate the force options that our officers have, that could be of concern. Or if an officer is in a position where they need the taser and that happens to be the time that it fails, then that officer could possibly look at their options as far as the equipment that's been provided. The cost for that with training is approximately $10,000.
How many did you say?
8.
Okay.
And that's recommending we're two lives behind, we're 2 models behind. Our taser instructor, Captain Murphy, at the last training he went to, he was trained on both of the newer models. He actually recommends the model that's in the middle, not the newest. So it's saving a little bit of money there. And priority number 3 would be a new squad car. One of our units is sitting at between 80 and 90,000 miles. This is near the end of life for a law enforcement vehicle due to the way that they're driven and the hours vital that they're exposed to. The equivalent is to a personal vehicle of about 120,000 miles. The cost to replace and outfit a new vehicle is approximately $67,000. The reason I have this as the lowest priority is our fleet is doing okay now. At our current staffing levels, our cars get driven a little bit less. So that's why it's at the bottom. If it doesn't get replaced this year, will definitely need replaced next year.
And you said one used squad car? Is that how many?
One
One.
new squad car, yeah.
Oh, new, or
Yeah.
you, okay, I heard that wrong. New.
I'm sorry. We would look, it would likely be a Durango. And the reason for that is fiscal. They're running state bid about $10,000 less than the other options.
Will the cage and everything from the one you got fit into new one?
It won't, because the one we're replacing would be a Dodge Charger.
And so you'll have to buy a new,
Yeah, and this price includes fully outfitted. What it does not include is the approximate trade-in value of the Charger, which would be fairly minimal, probably $6,000 to $8,000.
Mileage wise, how does that Charger compare to the rest of the fleet?
We have, like anywhere, when you get the newer vehicles, guys kind of gravitate towards the newer vehicles. So they pick up miles pretty quickly, but it's definitely the oldest, or I'm sorry, the most worn by about 40,000 miles.
Do you have an approximation on average annual mileage put on one of your cars?
It would be roughly between 20 and 30,000 miles. Once you get to that third year mark, that's when you're looking at replacing them typically.
Has there been any maintenance history with the Charger of note?
Nothing that's out of the ordinary. And we were having a lot of maintenance issues with oil coolers on the Durangos, but they recently did a recall to get that fixed. And I'll give Pete over at the Car Barn some props on that. He has saved us some money on those, and he put into his vehicle maintenance checks a particular piece that was going bad quickly to make sure that any signs of wear, they were just replacing that piece to avoid a several $1,000 fix that we had to pay for a couple different times. Not to mention the downtime of the car.
If we had to move the squad car to maybe next year's capital, do you have any other items that you would have on there next year as must-haves along with it that we would have to worry about that you have coming due?
Must-haves. Not at this time.
Okay.
I mean, there's always things that we can improve.
Mhm.
But that's the reason this car is priority number 3. If one of these needs to get punted, I would prefer that it be that one.
I didn't want to like move it off till next year, but then you actually have more things on your list next year that we don't know about yet. So that's why I was
Sure.
asking.
Nothing that sticks out unless you can find money in capital for a new public safety building.
Mhm.
But no, the answer is no, not at this time.
Any more questions, anybody?
Yes.
Dorothy does.
It has, and it increased the revenues approximately 300 to 400% on the fine amounts that were staying in town. And I want to, since they're revenues, they're
It would-
probably
The
not,
revenues would be under the revenue
probably
conversation.
not in there, but I'm glad you brought that up because I just got notice from the state. And I want to make it clear, open meeting, we were not issuing citations that we wouldn't have normally issued to create revenue for the city. We're issuing citations. We just changed the way we were doing it, so the money stayed local as opposed to going to the state. That being said, I received notice from the state the other day that they had a programming error back in 2020 that for the last 4 years, essentially they've been overpaying the amount that some municipalities were getting. So to correct that, they can't go back to any of the prior fiscal years other than the one that they're in right now. But in order to correct that, they're going to take some of our monies from the current citations as the checks are being cut. So I don't know what that looks like yet. They said that out of the letter said out of the total monies that were paid, it was approximately a 4.6% overage across the board. I do know that we were one of the municipalities that were being overpaid because I got the roster and I saw some negatives on there where they were taking extra portions of the fines. Yeah, I was as confused as you are. Because the way those fines are typically sectioned out is the state's always going to get a portion because they get court costs. And being that they were overpaying before we switched to our city code, which means they were getting their hands on the money, but they take it through the clerk of court. And that is, they have an outside agency reviewing that process, and their investigation is supposed to be done in March, so we'll have a better idea of what that looks like going forward, but it definitely looks like they're going to be, for lack of a better term, garnering our fine amounts until they correct the issue. And they're not taking all of it, they're taking a portion of it. That makes sense.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much, Seth. Great job. You would think when they made the mistake, they'd have to figure it out instead of us, right?
Well, we're lucky that they're not allowed to go back.
All right, Gabe, it's your turn. By golly, yes, I can.
Go down the line item while you're doing that. Okay, the ones that went up for me this year were property maintenance by 1,000, gas and oil. Oh, do you need the numbers? 6320. Gas and oil. We've been at $9,000 for several years straight, and looks like last year we spent 13,000, so we just bumped that to 12. Vehicle maintenance, before all our general fund committee meetings, when we cut 30,000 out of our budget, we used to have an $18,000 budget for vehicle maintenance. If you can see Last year, we had spent like 140,000. One of them was an expected repair. That's why we budgeted for 92, but everything seems to get, it's cost more and more to fix these trucks, and they're getting older and they're falling apart more on us. So that's why we're asking for more there. Same for repair equipment. We were just told the other day, we got a saw that's 20 years old, but it's probably got very little use on it. They already told us it's obsolete, and they couldn't even get a pole start crank for it, which we did find one on Amazon, but it's just harder and harder to get parts for these things that are reasonably priced. Service contract work, which is $64.99. It's been at 12,000, but last year, we went to a different fire software, and the maintenance agreement yearly is $4,200. That's why we asked for 4 more thousand. Then 6506 office supplies, kind of the same thing there. Everything just costs more. The printer ink and toner cartridges, $500 just doesn't cover it anymore, so we're asking for 1,000. And then protective clothing. Again, turnout gear costs more, and unfortunately this year, we're probably gonna have 2 new guys, which I don't even think 4,500 will cover one guy's turnout gear this year, and we're gonna have to buy 2, so that's another problem. We're gonna be over budget on that line item this year as well. So that's my increases on the line items, so if you guys wanna look that over and ask any questions. Well, the one guy's going through he's probably about a month out if he gets through all the testing. So we're short, we're at 1 right now until he gets through all of them.
Chief, what line item was the capital request sheet that you?
Oh,
Gave us.
6710 be the very last one on the administrative sheet, be on page 2, I believe it is, on the very last item. So there was no questions on the line items themselves then? So if you're ready, I can go down each of the capital requests if everybody's ready.
Looks like we are.
Okay. So the bunker gear and the SCBA bottles, that is a recurring thing every year so that we don't have to come in and ask for, 19 new sets of each. It just offsets the cost. This is just picking up where last year we held everything. So this would be, again, yearly purchases for us, but they just continue to go up in price. The Honda generator, so we can, when we're doing investigations and things, we can run our lights. It's a little smaller portable job than the bigger one we have. Pulse oximeter, it's basically, you put it on a patient's finger and gives you blood oxygen and stuff. Recliners, we try to replace those every couple of years. There's 6 of them in there, so we try to replace them 2 at a time. They get broke down fairly, so unfortunately, the rookies have to sit in the bad ones, and they don't really work right now, so that's why we're asking for 2 of those. The 5-inch inlet valves, those are, so that white one that you see riding the streets, it didn't come with one, so we needed one for that. And then we also had one fail on us, and they're up to $2,000 a piece now. The 2002 and 22 and 23 for the Chevy and the Ram, those were the vehicles that were purchased by Roquette for us. These are just a lockable topper for them so that we can keep our investigative tools and stuff in there and keep them locked without worry of getting stolen, things like that. If you look too, there's a drawer system that goes with each. It's a sliding system. I'm sure you've seen them. It helps us keep our material secured and organized inside the back of the bed of the truck. The skate packs, we actually, when they, every few years, we have to send those in, have to have them certified. This year, when we sent them in, they notified us that all 4 of them were out of date and could no longer be certified, so we have to get those replaced. Training room chairs, we've had those for 6 years and they are in bad shape. We try to buy material now that's not cloth, it's like leather or pleather or something like that, but over the years, as we've used the cleanup sprays on them, it's peeled all of that off of it, so it's almost like a cloth now instead of a leather. Kitchen chair is kind of the same. A lot of this we've been putting off just because we knew we were hurting and things weren't good in our previous budgets, but they're coming back now and they need to be replaced. Milwaukee pole saw, that just helps when we're cutting up trees that are a little bit taller that might get in the way of, our taller trucks getting through. Milwaukee tripod light is another thing for our investigations, things like that. Most of the time we cut the power after a fire, so. And then the stuff I listed below, the 44 is what the total was for all those requests I just mentioned. The information below that, police fire station, the G2 alerting was stuff we asked for in the past, did not get. And then we're currently talking about the 100-foot ladder. If you guys wanted to discuss that one a little bit.
Chief, I know that you've been doing some investigating on different sources, funding mechanisms for the truck. So could you maybe just bring us all up to speed on where your findings have led you to this point?
Yeah, so the original thought was to use the other half of our insurance check for the pumper that's currently being built. That is covered 100% by the insurance company, except for the $1,000 deductible. Using, I think it was $500 or $487,000 as a down payment for the 1.6. When we were talking to the manufacturer, they said they had a lending agency that could bridge the gap between that and when we could bond for the rest of the money. That ended up being a lease. I shared that with public safety at one of the meetings we just had. It wasn't a horrible offer. I think it's right on par with the rest of them because I also reached out to some local banks to do a bridge loan. I've gotten numbers back from one with this morning's fire, with Holiday Monday, this morning's fire. I haven't got a hold of the other 2 yet to at least, see what they could offer. But it was my understanding that we do have some reserve money in our general fund that I was just thinking, why borrow and pay interest on it if it's something we could use out of our own reserves to bridge the gap between the end of February when the truck is available and the actual time we would get our bond money, which could be July, August, somewhere in there.
It's hard to say, but hard to say right now, but we did start the paperwork.
Okay. And again, you're probably looking at a 4.5 to 5.5% interest rate if we do the loan or the bridge loan. So again, if we had revenues, because again, once you bond, you could put that money back in your reserves if the council wanted to do something like that.
We did talk about that, and I did mention that option.
Okay.
I think one of the concerns was kind of end up paying different fees twice if we did do a bridge loan and then having to do the bonding. I think right now it's the council having to make that decision in addition to, I guess, the urgency in securing the truck. So the bridge loan or the leasing terms may end up having similar fees as the same fees we'd end up having when we include the complete loan in the bond package. So what the conversation is, ultimately we'd end up paying some of these fees twice if we rush it.
Yeah, and looking at the lease closer, I think it was just in lieu of, it wouldn't be a thing where you would use that temporarily. You would either go with a lease or you would go with a bond, but not do both.
So we do have enough in reserves where we could get the truck taken care of this February, which is just next month, to get it into the fleet and get it started, and then pay ourselves back when the bond would come through. Could be 6 months later. What would that do in that 6-month window with that money not being available?
That I cannot commit to. So we haven't had this conversation about addressing the reserve. So this is news to me. As far as that option, I'd have to look into it and see again, whether we're using our money to bridge the loan or what does that do to our reserve, especially since we haven't even amended the budget yet, and that happens in May. So I would have to do further analysis. It's hard to say right now because I'm just hearing about this.
So the reserves are what is used when we do the budget amendment in May. Okay.
Well, I mean, mine is just in case.
Correct.
This is just news to me before saying anything I'd like
Yeah.
to.
Well, I mean, obviously, I want to do it at the smallest cost to the city, but I don't want to put us in a harmful situation where all of a sudden we don't have reserves when they become necessary.
Okay, any questions on mine? Because I do have KVEX here that we could run through real quick. Go ahead. No, it's not. Probably the chairs and the things for the trucks. The chairs are really bad. It's kind of embarrassing to have tours at the station. They look that bad. Well, I probably need recliners and the training room chairs, but we could skip the kitchen chairs. The items for the pickup trucks. And the drawer system, yeah. Yeah, they are.
I know this is crazy, but I'm sitting here looking at a whole city hall full of chairs that I've never seen full in 4 years. Can we move 6 chairs from City Hall to there as training chairs or kitchen chairs? I've never seen these chairs ever full. Never. I mean, there's 6 chairs he could take home tonight.
Yeah, the ones for the training room are more like an office chair, like what you're sitting
Oh,
in
like
there.
we're sitting in,
Yeah.
but the kitchen,
Kitchen chairs are more like.
like the ones in the back that just push up to a table?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, it's just a suggestion.
Sure, we'll accept.
I'm kind of
hand-me-downs.
one of those people that, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
If anybody has a problem with that, let me know, but I've never seen the council chambers, all those chairs full.
Yeah.
Okay, 6 of them are yours.
okay,
You can take 6 home. If you need 8, let me know.
okay. Well, I guess. Probably the bunker gear and SCBA's. The bunker gear and the SCBA, those are the ones at the top. Those are the ones we replace every year. No, three of each. Yep. Again, we got a grant we were awarded a grant to purchase those in 17, and I think all in between the SCBA's and the bunker gear, I think it was close to $150,000. That's why we're trying to keep them spaced out.
Any other questions?
Can you refresh our memories on what the G2 alerting system is?
So it hooks into dispatch. I mean, it's gone leap years compared to, because that's a 1957 building and it's been kind of patched together so it's just like a PA system. But that thing can actually ring in and it will light up a low light, like it would be red for medical or fire and like blue for medical. And the bell doesn't make your heart fall into your, the bottom of your feet. It's a little quieter and it's a little, because what they've shown statistic-wise is it's causing heart attacks, scares them a little bit, with the bell and that sort of thing. But it's It's capable of doing a lot of things. I didn't even bring the literature, I was just showing you what we've asked for in the past that we didn't get, but it's basically, it hooks into our dispatch center and it's alerting process inside our department. Yeah. Right, right. And the thing is, what's the likelihood we're getting a new public safety building? So we were thinking if we could put it in this one, we would try to take as much of it with us if we did get a new building. And that's fine. I mean, we can wait. I just listed it just so you guys could see what we had in the past. Yeah. I've been chief 14 and I know we've talked about it every year, so, but I get it. I know revenues are short. I get it. Ready to do KVAC?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing's changed a lot with him. I think he just kind of moved some numbers around to keep his overall budget the same, which is 10,750. I mean, they're not a big budget anyway, but if you just want to look down through there, I think he's got 980 for property maintenance, 800 for gas and oil, 6,000 for vehicle repair, 1,500 electric gas, 6,500 for miscellaneous. That's usually what they make their purchases throughout the year on. And then other supplies, 250 for a grand total of 10,750.
Any questions, guys? Okay, I think,
All right, thank you.
thank you a lot, Gabe. Great job. So, do you want to you want to look through through stuff and have some more conversation, or you want to take it home and look, or what do we want to do here? Any of it? Do you want to just, I mean, is there anything you want to discuss, anybody that we haven't already talked about before we take off? Oh, I forgot we had mayor clerk. Celeste and I wouldn't have any money. What the heck? I just gave away the chairs in the place and no money for mayor clerk. Okay. Oh, I got one. Okay, everybody got one? Oh, okay. I don't care, either you or her, either one. She's got it right here.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll go through the changes. Not much changed for 610, 6599 miscellaneous. I increased it 200 just with price increases. And then data processing 611, 6230. The training, I increased 1,000 because the current software we have is going to be transitioning to the cloud. So I didn't know if we would need any additional training for that or not. And then 611, 6499, I increased it 20,000 because we're either going to have to pay more for the current software or transition to a new software. And that was just a safe estimate. It could be lower than that. But that's just some initial costs quotes that I've gotten from GWorks. And then Laserfish. And our IT has gone up a little just with tickets that we've put in. And then for 630, 6413, we'll have an election this year, so I had to put that money in there, 3,500. 650, 6320, property maintenance for the municipal building. I increased that 900 to reflect actual costs better. And then general insurance, 660, 6408. I increased 52,731, and that was recommended from the insurance company.
Is that premium payments?
Yeah, it's just a annual payment to ICAP.
That is really increased. That's over double from 2 years ago.
Yeah, there was a big jump in the current budget that we're in, like 40%. I don't know why it increased so much, but Carrie did tell us last year to anticipate that, so.
Any questions?
It's just that software, the insurance are the two big increases.
Yeah, I mean. Anything else? The city administrator. And then we have like.
You guys just put around that number and I can't follow. Is there any way to shade any differences, like lightly shade it so that your eye can draw to it right away? So that we try to find these little big numbers. I know, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, to look, they aren't in order.
Is that a, is I don't know if that's a good idea, but I mean, me, I mean, I'm I need these, I don't know. And I'm used to seeing these.
We can look into different designs in the future, but we wanted to keep this as it was done last year since I'm transitioning in, so, but we could look into. So what's happened now is by the time we meet with department heads and having to enter the figures back in the system, the time frame is pretty tight. So I think in order to do that, we'd have to start our budget process kind of sooner versus what kind of following the state kind of guidelines, right, or guidance on setting the schedule.
When we meet with the department heads, I always put a arrow beside each one, whether it's up or down, and then where they increase or not decrease. And then I put it in a book, an old-fashioned old 3-ring binder, and anybody's welcome to come look at that before, so they can look, because that's what, I just do it because I'm old school and that's how I do it. And so I know when I come in here, what we increased and didn't increase, and Celeste already has it put in for us. So it makes it, I can look real quick, but anybody's welcome to come look at that before the next meeting, because I have, the rest of it all in there. And if anybody wants to look at it, and if I'm not around or something, it'll be on my desk and somebody can get it for you. Anybody's willing to learn. I even use a Post-it notes for my dividers. So anyway, you're welcome to use it, and if you need to. Okay, no questions on mayor, city clerk? Well then, if that being said, I think we're done, guys. Let's go home. Thanks, guys.